Тут если что, короче, лайв YouTube идет.
А?
Если что, лайв YouTube идет.
Лайки идут?
Лайв YouTube я включил. Bless you. Я тебе возьму шпателя, которые, помнишь, где у тебя есть?
Они там на железном столе, на этом.
На железном столе?
Да, я сейчас закончу, могу рассказать. Вот самый любимый танк уничтожили.
What's up guys? So we finally got to the epoxy. What's up? If you guys liking the content, subscribe and like please. So yeah, I finally cut all the pieces down and right now we got to the point where we're gonna start mixing the epoxy. So today we are gonna be using 10X LXA component and B component. So we're gonna mix these two together. We're gonna color everything. I'm gonna mix a little bit of gray and a little bit of white to it, and we're gonna get the color of this natural marble looking, and we are making custom window seals. So yeah, let me show you how I'm gonna be doing this. If you got questions guys, you can ask. This is happening after hours. So yeah, getting stuff ready for the project that we were currently working on. It's a bathroom renovation that we are doing there. So yes, let's get started. So we mix 50 to 50, 50% of one and 50% of the other one. But I think I'm gonna make two batches. I'm gonna make two batches because one is I'm not gonna have enough time to work with the epoxy with one, since I'm making these custom things. So yeah, we got first, and then we're getting same thing for the second one. About same amount of one component and the other component. So basically same thing. There you go. So we got 50-50 of one epoxy and the other epoxy. Everett and Brayton, shout out. How's it going, guys? How's it going? Thanks for tuning in. If you're liking the content, please hit the like button. Helps to move the video around and people to join, you know. Thank you for tuning in. This means a lot. I mean, I did not start very long ago with my YouTube stuff, so you know, right now I'm just getting more into these lives and stuff. So we just put a drop of gray into this, and also we are going to put a drop of white coloring into it as well. Just one little bitty drop. There you go. I put 2 drops in of the white stuff. And now we're just mixing these 2 components together, so we're gonna make the color of the marble. There you go. Just keep mixing it like that. Mix it pretty good, so the epoxy is gonna start working. Just like that. This one looks that it got a little bit too much of gray in it, so we need it a little bit lighter. We don't need it that dark of the color. And we're gonna just add some more white to it. Add a couple drops of white colorant into this epoxy. Couple drops. So the gray color is gonna get, it's gonna be more lighter, much more lighter. We're mixing it and it changes the color. You can see that it's getting much lighter color. Pretty sweet, pretty light color. It's getting very close of the color of the dots and veins that this natural marble stone has in it. So we got about to the color where we're gonna be good with it, and the color is light gray at this point now. So we're good with the color. Nice gray color. If you're new here, guys, hit the like button. That helps to move the content. What we're doing is custom window seal. All right, so we good with that. To keep your hands clean from epoxy, just use some regular wipes, because you don't want the epoxy to get on your stone, because it's gonna be shining, and then you're gonna have to polish the edges. So yeah, soon we'll get to 1,000 subscribers. That is pretty nice. Since I've been doing this maybe for like a year and a couple of months probably. YouTube's been great with me. Some of the videos go, some of the videos don't. So, you know, we also have an Instagram page and we also have a Facebook page. So if you'd be interested, you can just follow through the links that I got in my bio on the YouTube page, and then you can check out also a lot of our other work that we've done as well, and other videos that we make. All right, cool. So we got our square corner. This is very important tool for us at this point. And we got all of our pieces. All the pieces are mitered. It's a 4.5-inch piece of marble, and it's mitered on 45. We've done that before in our previous stream. So right now I'm gonna make the back side of the custom window sill that I'm gonna be doing, and also after that we're gonna glue on top with epoxy our other pieces that are 1.5 inches, and they're also mitered as well. These are 24-inch pieces of marble, and the thickness is about 3/8 to 5/8 of an inch plus, something around there. Regular marble stone tile. Our other backside pieces are, oh shit, I just raised it up and it just broke on me. It's a very, very hard stone to work with. So see, we raised it up and it just broke on us. But we're gonna put that together, and we're gonna make it look nice with the help of the epoxy, of course. So yeah. Gonna wipe the stone off a little bit. We have also some spare pieces that we can cut out from and make another piece, but we'll see. So this is gonna be the back side of our edge. For this I'm just gonna use regular glue to glue this piece back together. Regular miter wood glue that I'm gonna use to glue the piece together, and then we're gonna put the pieces together with epoxy. Just a little bit on the edge. And then we spray the second component on the other edge. So we can put the piece together. And you glue it. Then you can use just a razor blade to cut it off if you made a mistake. Well, we did. I picked it up from one side, but I have to raise it up together so the piece is not gonna crack or break. Just scrape off the existence of the glue, and that should be good to go. All right, we are good now. So, over here, we're gonna get these pieces and glue them to the front of everything, but we're gonna use epoxy for these pieces, so we can polish off the edge and make it look good. First thing what we're going to be doing is we're gonna glue this back piece on it first. We're gonna use a little bit of the miter glue just to attach it, and then we're gonna use the epoxy to create this nice finish up front. And you don't need that much of epoxy here for these stones, just enough for the edge to be supported. All right, so we're gonna be gluing this piece face forward towards the mitered edge. So we're just gonna be leaving just a little bit of it, so the epoxy would come out and glue to the back side of this piece. So what we do is we put a couple of drops of the glue on this side. Just a couple of them, just to attach it. So it's not gonna fall on us. this is my hack that I've learned while doing all of these, so far doing all of these epoxy edges and stuff. So this thing activates the glue. We start from one side carefully. We have to make sure that everything is going to be square. Square here. Square here on this side as well. So right now we just attached one piece of marble to the back side of another piece of marble. So I created a lip, just like that. In front over here, we're gonna glue the top piece, and we're gonna use epoxy for this top piece, and then epoxy in between these two pieces. Also, we're gonna be epoxying this edge on the back side of the piece of marble that we're doing. So now to this live edge that we got over here, it's better if we put it like that at this point. So nothing falls on us. I'm gonna have to figure something out right now so this piece doesn't fall on me. Well, this is gonna be pretty good, pretty handy. Use a piece of tape to attach it so it's not gonna fall. Because this thing is so fragile. I mean, if this thing falls, it just breaks and snaps. It's a pretty fragile stone. And it's a pretty, I would say it's a pretty tough stone to work with. But you know, it's possible if you're gonna be careful with it. It's possible. You can create amazing products and amazing things with it. So there you go. We attached it. This thing is not gonna fall on us. The tape is gonna hold it in place. Now we're gonna get our epoxy. Just a little bit on the spatula. And we're gonna start putting the epoxy by sliding it off like that on the edge, like this. You don't want to put too much of the epoxy in there, and you don't want to you don't want to put too much, and you don't want to put not enough epoxy. You want the actual two pieces to be actually gluing together with the epoxy, because epoxy is going to be the component that's going to hold the pieces together. So just a little bit over the edge from one side to another side. Step by a time, step by a time. Like that. So right now at this point, basically the whole edge is covered in epoxy. I'm going to show you there just in a minute, before I put two pieces together. Just a little bit by the time, just like that. Just like that. So let me show you right now what we've done here. We put the epoxy just on the edge through the whole piece, and these two pieces are glued together. Now we're gonna do it for the front of the custom window seal. So what actually I'm going to do is I'm gonna get my front piece. I'm gonna wipe it up from dust after the wet saw. You wipe it up from dust, just carefully from one side to another side like that. Dustless, good to go. The edge is also mitered on this side, like that. And we already spread the epoxy on the other piece. So now we get our spatula, and we don't need a lot of epoxy from one piece to another piece. We just need a little bit of it. And you spread it on the back, like that. Just like regular glue you would use. There you go. From one side to another side. one side to another side. You slide it towards you because that way it's easier to work with epoxy, because epoxy is a pretty messy thing. From one side to another side. There you go. We have a decent amount of epoxy on it. You don't want too much because all the epoxy that's gonna be too much in there is gonna just squeeze out on you and it's gonna create you a dirty area to work at. Now we glue the two pieces together. We put our epoxy on our first corner. We attach the back piece to our window sill, and let's attach the smallest piece now. You don't want to press on it too much. You just want to have some gently pressure on it. A little bit of gently pressure, that's all. A little bit of gently pressure. So we've glued the edge, all the stuff that's exposed now. We're gonna use a little razor blade like that, and we're gonna scrape off just a little bit of the epoxy so we don't have too much to sand off later. Just go like this, slightly. If there's places where you need to add some epoxy to it, yeah, you better fill these holes up, just like this, with adding a little bit of epoxy on it. And basically you cut off the other part of the epoxy that you feel like it's too much. And you continue doing that. And like I said, epoxy is a pretty messy thing, so you got to be careful with it. Not to get the stone covered in epoxy, because if the stone is gonna get covered in epoxy, it's gonna be hard to send the epoxy off of the face of the stone, because the stone is polished at this point. I'm just using regular wipes with Clorox, just to clean off the blade, so my hands are not going to be messy and dirty. Same thing you do from both sides. You just want a little bit of epoxy in there. You don't want too much of the epoxy in there, just a little bit on the edge. And you want to make sure the edge is glued with epoxy completely, because when the epoxy is going to harden up, it's going to actually hold the stone together. Where you need to add some of the epoxy, you go ahead and add to the places where you feel like there's not enough of it, but we're still gonna round up the edge, so the edge is gonna be pretty neat. We're gonna polish it off. There you go. And then there is one place that I did not like, is right here. We need to add up a little bit more of the epoxy. Okay, we got that. Let me get some more wipes really quickly. And I want to clean off one side of the stone, the face rail, and then the back side, the top side of the stone also, so it's not gonna fall off on me. Regular Clorox wipes like these. And well, when the epoxy is still wet, you can kind of, you know, wash off the actual epoxy from the face of the stone, just like that. Next thing, what you need to do is you want to secure the edges together. What's the best thing how you can secure the edges together? It's tape, regular tape. So I'm getting just enough tape and I'm putting it on the back side of the window sill. You don't wanna put too much on the back side, just a little bit on the back side. And all of these two pieces that we created, we are going to secure with tape and push it towards the front of the mitered epoxy edge through the whole surface that we did over here. So the pieces won't go apart from one another. Same thing we're doing on the other side as well. You don't want too much of the tape, just enough to cover up from one side to another side. So we're gonna put like four slices of tape from one side and another side. We got two in the middle, we got two on the sides, now we're gonna do one in the middle as well. So you're securing everything with the tape. So the piece is not gonna fall on you. Got a small piece of tape, a little bit bigger. I would say you need about 3.5, 4 inches of tape. And we're gonna do this process also to the middle of the stone as well. You wanna make sure that all of the face and all the two, both of the miter edges that you've created, you wanna make sure that they basically come seamless one to another one. So when you're gonna be good to start sanding them off, so these two tapes will hold the actual pieces together, so the seam's not gonna fall off. It's not gonna, you know, it's not gonna float on you, and you're gonna be able to work with the area that you're doing. All right, now what you want to do is, what I want to do is deattach the little handy thing that I did, the box. It was just pretty handy for it. And I want to do the same thing. I want to create a support bracket from tape on this side as well. Like I said, don't put too much on the back side that I've done, because we're gonna also put a lot of epoxy to the back side. We're done there. A little gentle push. Okay, there you go. So right now I'm going to show you from the side what we have been creating. Now we have a double granite in the front, and we're going to have a custom window sill like that. Custom window sill. So it's 4.5 inches natural stone. We have 1.5 inch the face of it, and then we have 1 inch sticking out on the bottom as a trim. And this thing is going to be 3 pieces like that. They're going to get installed on the window. It's going to be a custom window sill, because the floor in the bathroom is from the same material. Pretty nice. And see how we created the miter edge. The edge is like pretty neat. We're just gonna scrape the what's on the top that we're gonna not need the epoxy edge, and then we're gonna polish it and make it look nice. Next thing, what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna carefully, you gotta work with this like working around eggs. Careful. Maybe you want to put it on something to make sure that it's not gonna touch the epoxy edge, because the epoxy is still not dry, it's not dry yet. It's still gonna float on you. You gotta be careful with that. Then you get your square, and you wanna make sure that everything is square. You check the square. The square is good. Square is good. The square is good. Now you wanna add the same epoxy to the back side of the piece that we created, where we use drops of miter glue, because you want the actual epoxy to hold the two pieces together, not just only in the front but also in the back. And over here you can use more of the epoxy, so the piece is gonna get secured better one to another. There we have it. Same thing, I'm gonna use my razor knife just to cut the extra tape off on the back side where I don't need the extra tape. Too much tape, so yeah, I'll cut that off. There you go. We've got that off. I'm gonna cut this piece off as well. And now I'm gonna use the same spatula that I've used before. And I'm gonna get my epoxy, and I'm gonna give a very good amount of the epoxy on the back of these two pieces that I've glued together. Just like this. It doesn't have to be pretty, it's the back of it, but the prettier you're gonna make it, the better it's gonna, and easier it's gonna be to install it on the surface where you're planning to install something like this. So I'm gonna spread a good amount of the epoxy on the back, scraping the back sideways like that, and just leaving a little bit of the epoxy on the actual edge of the two stones, because this marble is a stone that soaks in all the moisture, so the epoxy is gonna go in all the pores of the stone, and these three pieces are going to hold together very, very well. The epoxy is still light, it's still good. So we mixed the first batch and it's good. It's perfect. Perfect to use. So we've glued the piece with the epoxy from the other side, and let's see how everything looks at this point. We glued the miter that we did, and we glued the back side. We spread a good amount of the epoxy there, and that is gonna help the pieces of granite to hold both of them together. I'm making a custom window sill. Like, you know, you have those wooden window sills on all your windows, and I'm making a custom one from marble, because the floor in the bathroom that we're working on currently right now, it's marble. So I'm making a custom window sill that's gonna be looking like this. It's gonna be three pieces like that. I'm gonna glue them together and I install them on the window sill. It's gonna look sick. Stay tuned for videos, because I'm gonna make a little bit of content about these. And this is actually my first time doing a window sill this way. But you can see we got our 90. It's perfect 90 degrees. The edges are perfectly cut on 45. We use some 10x epoxy. We glue them together. So this piece is ready and this piece is gonna dry. After the piece is dry, usually for this kind of epoxy, and with my experience that I had with this, with gluing this stone together, usually takes around like 48 hours for the epoxy to fully cure and you'll be able to sand it nicely. So yeah, this is the piece that we've done at this point, and it's amazing, just amazing. You can't really understand the view at this point, how this is going to look on the window sill, but believe me, this is gonna look very, very nice. So we have like a transition from one stone to another stone, like that, with a nice 45 cut edge, and this is how it looks. All right. So one of these are down, and two more to go. Whew. I have to find a place right now where I can put this, so this can rest over 48 hours at my friend's shop. Yeah, make sure you don't touch too much of the stone, because I mean, if you touch too much of the epoxy with your hands, all the stone is gonna be with fingerprints, with epoxy, and it's gonna be really hard later to use a razor blade to sand them off. You're gonna use like some kind of wet polishing pads to hand sand everything, you know, to polish the area again. So not, because if you're gonna use like a grinder or something with a pad, you're gonna make holes. All right, we got one down, two more to go. I'm gonna find a good place for this one. I'm gonna put it somewhere, and I'll be right back. Захарё. Как? Туда можно поставить его так, чтобы не стояло, короче. Завтра можно поставить, лучше прыгать у тебя не будет, правильно? I'll be right back, guys. I'm gonna put one of the pieces and I'll be right back. Gotta find a secured place where I can put them so they'll be secured for 48 hours and nobody's gonna touch them. All right, guys, so I'm back and we're doing the same process with the other one, the epoxy. Let's see, the epoxy is still good on us. It's not hard yet. We'll mix it up a little bit more, but I think this one is going to be still good for only one more miter edge. I don't think it's going to be good. We will have enough time to make another one, so yeah. All right, we'll take in our next piece. Just got to be careful with it, that's all. I mean, it's a pretty fragile stone. And I'm putting it on the side. I'm gonna use a little cloth to wipe off all the dust from it like that. Because there's a little bit of dust on it from wet saw. Just like that. Same thing I'm gonna use with the back. Wipe it off a little bit, good. And then I'm taking my 2.5 inch piece, just like that. Same process, wiping the dust off from the piece. And you want to make sure that this faces the front of the epoxy, the front of the miter edge. First of all, I'm placing it back like this.
Ты еще резать будешь, Дим?
Да. Ну, там 2 или 3 штуки.
Я батарейку я хочу себе.
Понял. I'm using regular glue to attach this piece, so it's gonna hold it together. Just a little bit, you don't need that much of this glue, just dots through the whole surface. So you can create a good base for your two pieces that you're trying to glue together. And then on the other side, I'm just using the activator of the glue just to activate it, and so we have it in space and we have an area to work with. All right, we sprayed the activator. Now we get this piece, we start from one edge, put it in nicely, and we finish it up in the other edge. And you know, you want to make sure that these pieces are pretty close together, because if you shift it to one side or shift it to another side, they're not going to be able to attach one to another. And you want to give it at least, you know, 5-10 seconds for the glue to activate and get all of those pieces together, so it's going to hold them together. All right. So right now at this point, the glue is activated. So we got our 4.5-inch piece that has a miter edge, and we glued the back piece that's going to be a trim piece. And this is how it looks. The glue was just to support the two pieces for now while you're working with it. You want to make sure that your miter edge is pretty clean, so nothing gets into the actual epoxy and nothing messes it up. A little dust wipe, you wipe it off. That's it. This stone has a lot of open pores in it, so this stone sucks in a lot of moisture. And then I found that this is pretty handy for the size that I'm doing here. And then you want to make sure also that that is squared. You put a square to it. We got a square. We got a perfect 90-degree square. Nice. Okay, where is our piece of tape? The tape is right here. Now I'm shifting this piece like this and put it on this little bucket that I figured out. It holds it pretty nice. Creates me the place to, I mean, it depends on the size that you're doing, so you can customize it to your own preferences and to your own size. We got that going on. Using just a little bit of painter's tape, gluing it to the piece of marble, and then gluing it to this little box that holds our wipes, yeah, Clorox wipes. Good. So see, now this thing is not falling, and I have room to wiggle around and play with it. Let me turn you a little bit around, just like that, so you can see better. There you go. Now I'm getting my spatula, and I'm gonna start spreading the epoxy onto the miter edge. You don't want to put too much of epoxy on it. You start from one side, just like that. You don't want too much epoxy in there. You want just enough to glue the two pieces together. There you go. The epoxy is getting hard on us. It's not hard yet, but it's curing. So we just have enough time to create this other piece. For the other batch, we're gonna need to mix some more and colorize it to make it good. There you go. A little bit more on the other side. We spread our epoxy through the whole surface of the edge. Now we get our 1.5-inch piece. It's also mitered on 45, just like that. You want to wipe the dust off a little bit. You got to be very careful with this stone, because the stone, like I said, is fragile. Wipe off the dust carefully. Wiping off the mitered edge. And on the back side, we created the base now. So on the back side, I want to spread a little bit of the epoxy on the back side. I'm getting the epoxy now and spreading a thin bit, just a little bit on the back side like that. You don't want too much epoxy over here, just a little bit to glue the back piece that we used miter glue to glue it together with the piece of the stone that we're going to be using for our window seal. Just a little bit on the back. so the two pieces can glue together and create a perfect bond. There you go. We spread it to the whole surface, not a lot, just a little bit of the epoxy. Now we're gonna be creating our 45 miter corner. By carefully pushing the pieces together and sliding to the left and to the right with gentle pressure. You don't wanna put too much pressure on it, because if you put too much pressure on it, this thing is either gonna break or is gonna push out too much of the epoxy on you, and you won't have enough time to create the edge that you actually want. We got that together, so good. Now we're gonna be taking our razor blade. Where is our razor blade? It's right here. And we're gonna be taking off the existence of the epoxy from one side and kind of filling up the little edge that is not filled up all the way, and kind of sliding off and getting the epoxy the spread on the surface where it's too much of the epoxy. There you go. You want to do this through the whole surface of the area that you're working with, and you don't want to go gently with this razor blade. You want to take your time. You want to feel the edge up as much as possible, because when you polish this, you want to make sure that there is going to be epoxy inside, so when you polish it, it's not going to crack and open on you. Just a tip, and putting the epoxy to create the perfect edge that you want. And you kind of scraping it off with the razor blade to one direction, and then from the other side you go the other direction. You want to be careful with this process, because the epoxy is pretty dirty. You can get your hands dirty pretty fast. So these Clorox wipes work perfectly. Well, the epoxy is not cured yet. You can wipe off everything from your hands and you can work with clean hands. Kind of using the razor blade, you're creating the nice finish of the future corner that you're gonna have in between these two pieces. The epoxy is about to be done. It's about to get hard. Well, not hard, but impossible to work with and impossible to spread. So we are going to hurry up a little bit on this one. There you go. And yes, you want to make sure the edge that you're trying to create is going to be pretty much full with the epoxy through the whole surface. What's up, what's up? Привет, привет. So we've basically created the edge that we wanted at this point. And then we took off the epoxy that we didn't want on the top of the surface. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some regular Clorox wipes to clean off the face of the window sill that I'm doing from one side, just with regular wipes, to clean off as much as possible, as much as I can, carefully, and then to clean up from the other side as much as I can of the epoxy, so it's not gonna shine on me later on, and I'm not gonna have to polish the whole face of the window sill that I'm doing over here. All right, we got that good. Now I'm gonna use another wipe to clean out my hands, because I got some epoxy on my hands and it's getting hard on it already. Okay, that process is good. Hands are clean, not sticky. What I'm also going to do is clean up the back of the first piece that we glued to the window sill. If you guys been a while here, just hit the like button. It helps the content to be shared and more people, so more people could watch it. Maybe they'll learn something new. I'm applying tape from one side and to another side, and applying gentle pressure. The tape is gonna hold the corner and let the epoxy cure without floating and losing its shape, because we want this actual 90-degree corner to be 90-degree corner. We don't want it to move, and you want to secure it for 48 hours. So the best thing is use painter's tape to secure the pieces together. We've done that. I'm gonna put about 4 straps of tape on this one. So taking the tape off now from one side and other side, moving closer to the middle of the stone. And then applying gentle pressure on it and gluing the piece of marble to another piece of marble. There you go. Good. Same thing I'm going to be doing from the other side. And securing the 3 pieces together, so everything's gonna stay in one place. The epoxy almost dried on me, so now we just have to make sure the back piece is glued with it together as well. So this is how it looks. Another window sill, we got a perfect 90 degrees, and this is how the window sill is going to look later. And you don't want to put it just right down, you want to put it on the kind of on the angle on something to be sure that the edge of the epoxy is not going to get any dirt on it or dust on it, and it's going to be pretty clean on you. All right, and I'm going to get my plastic spatula as well and get the rest epoxy. You can still kind of move the epoxy, but you want to make sure that you spread a lot of epoxy on the back side of it, just enough, to kind of glue the 2 pieces from the back with the epoxy, to glue the 2 pieces together. You don't want too much and you don't want too little of the epoxy. You want just enough. kind of fill up the corner where the two pieces meet together. So we spread the epoxy through the whole surface on the back side of our window sill. Wiping my hands off. And I'm going to show you how it looks in the back. And this is how the epoxy is spread in the back as well. It's going to glue the two pieces together. So we got the miter corner. The epoxy is coming out. We're gonna use razor blade later to get the stuff that comes out. But you want to make sure that your corner is full basically, to create a nice miter edge. I'm gonna go ahead and put that one to the shop as well. So it's gonna dry out for 48 hours at least. And I'm gonna be right back with mixing our last batch and creating our last window seal. I'll be right back. So yeah, this epoxy is already done. We won't be able to work with this epoxy because the glue is already hardens up and you're not able to, you know, spread it out nicely and create the seamless edge with it. So yeah, we're gonna clean up the spatula right now. And this is just gonna go to trash. All right. That one's just going to trash. Try right now to clean up my last spatula. With these Clorox wipes, it's doable. You can clean it, so you can put your hands on it. Gotta clean it off nicely. go. That's good enough. Use my towel to get the rest of the epoxy off of this plastic piece, so I can mix another batch of epoxy. There you go. It's pretty clean. And I think probably I would also recommend to use some gloves. Maybe some like medical gloves, and just change those gloves so your fingers is not gonna get epoxy on your skin. With time I'm gonna improve and it's gonna be easier. Alright. Good to start with another thing. Let's get it going. So we have my other little piece where I'm gonna mix the epoxy on, and I don't need too much now at this point. I need maybe half of the stuff that I had on the last piece before. So I'm gonna get just a little corner of one component A of the 10x, and I'm gonna get about same amount of the B component. About same amount. Get same amount of B component and you put them together, just like that. Now you get your white color, add white to it, and you want 1 drop of gray. For this kind of stone, just a drop, a little drop, like that. And you start mixing together, just like this. 2 components, you mix them together. Because my goal is to get light gray color that's gonna perfectly match. It's gonna perfectly match with the granite, and you won't. It's not gonna be really noticeable where you're gonna epoxy the 2 miter edges together. There you go. We have a nice light gray color. So at this point, we mixed up the epoxy. We're good to go. Now, quickly, we get in a towel. We want to brush off just a little dust that we had on our pieces, because it's pretty dusty from the wet saw. You want to be gentle and you want to be careful with the stone, because the stone is pretty fragile. If you just push it hard enough, the stone can break on you. Alright, so it's clean now. We're going to place it carefully right here. Just want to put the caps on all the colorants as well, because we're not going to color anything else. I want to make sure that my boxes are closed with epoxy, so nothing's going to get in there. Yeah, right now at night the temperature is pretty nice, so you're not so worried about the sun, but you don't want the epoxy to be heated up that much. Alright, we'll take this, put it to the side. We take our 2.5 inch piece, also we need to dust it, wipe off the existing dust. So we wipe the dust off. like I said, I use miter glue like this from one side, just to attach the pieces together and to create myself a base, just like that. And then the activator, you spray it on the other piece. We sprayed it on the other piece. This stone has so many pores that it basically sucks in all the moisture as fast as it can. You start from one side, finish up at the other side. And you want to check the square as well, so the piece is gonna glue together and create you a base, and it's gonna be squared. We're nice and square here, we're nice and square here. That's good. You want to leave it for maybe like I would say 3-5 seconds, so the pieces can glue together pretty nicely. And then after that, when the glue gets into the pores of the stone, it just holds it and creates you a base, a work base that you can work with. So again, we created the third window sill. We attached it, just the pieces together. This can be the facial, the trim. This is the 45 miter edge on the trim. Pretty nice and sharp edge. Our next step, like I said, I found out that this box is pretty handy of the towels. I want to raise it up because I want to work with the miter edge now. Get a piece of tape. And you create yourself a base. It's not gonna slide off of you, it's not gonna fall off of you because the stone is pretty heavy, and it holds it in place. Next step, we take our 1.5 inch mitered piece of granite as well, 45 miter, nice clean edge. And you wanna hand it carefully. You wanna sweep all the dust off of it, just like that. You want to make sure the mitered edge is pretty clean, no dust, because the epoxy is not gonna glue when there's a lot of dust. To get this thing prepped, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna use the same spatula, and this is the batch of the epoxy that we mixed. So I'm taking a little bit of this epoxy and spreading on the back side of this, like that, because the back side is gonna glue with the face plate that we already glued together on the wooden miter glue. You don't want too much of it, just a little bit to glue the two pieces of granite together. Just like that, just a little bit of the epoxy through the whole edge. Now, we prepped the small piece. We actually want to put epoxy on our other piece. So we take the epoxy and we gently spread it through the whole edge. Grab some more, gently spread it to the edge, because you want to create a nice seal. So both of these edges are gonna be attached one to another, and this is gonna be very, very strong when the epoxy cures. We spread the epoxy through the whole edge. You want to make sure that there's not too much and there's not too less of the epoxy on your edge. Now we take the pieces and we put them together with gently pressure. You want to put them together like this, gently press on it and create the edge, so the epoxy would come out from the edge and you're gonna create this nice edge. You don't want to press on it too hard because this thing can break on you. You don't want that to happen. There you go. All right, next thing is you get your razor blade and you scrape up the epoxy that's over the edges. From one side to another. Wipes, Clorox wipes help you with the epoxy. So you can clean the razor blade off carefully and nicely, just like that. And you do same thing for other side. So this side is good, we clean it up. It is pretty filled. Now we take our tape. And we secure the pieces together. Just like this. Yeah, the epoxy is gonna come out more. You have to push it out a little bit. And then if you feel if there's too much epoxy came out, you can always use the razor blade again and scrape some of it off. You want to make sure the edge is full with epoxy, so you'll have some to cut off later. And when you're gonna be polishing it and making it, well, I'm gonna be making it round, pretty round, so like I don't want the stone to be empty inside. You actually want the epoxy to be there in the miter edge, and that's gonna help bond two surfaces together. So yeah, we got that. Now we add 2 more pieces of tape to it. Painter's tape helps a lot in this. I prefer the orange one. It's pretty strong. It's not gonna fall off on you. And yeah, stay tuned for the video that I'm gonna make with this window seal, how it's gonna turn out at the end, because it's gonna turn out great. We'll give it 48 hours to dry. We'll polish it, we'll sand it, and we'll install it on our job site. All right, we created that. Now we just need like a little piece of something, like I would say of the stone that we had there before, for it just to be there, so we can turn this. And you don't want the edge to be touching any surface, because it's gonna damage the epoxy. It's gonna get some dust in it, and you're gonna be having a hard time of scraping the epoxy off. Now what you want to do is you want to feel the back side off, because we used, for the top piece, for the bottom, for the piece of the trim, we used miter wood glue just to attach the piece together to create a base. Now we get same spatula and we spread the rest of the epoxy that we have through the back side of the tiles to create a better bonding in between the surfaces. You kind of fill up the edge that's there. So we fill it up in front by mitering the corners and putting epoxy in between. Same thing we're doing from the back. And this is gonna make a very strong bond, a very strong connection in between the two pieces of granite. And this thing is gonna be bulletproof on the edges. It can break or damage on the other side, or like from the side, but it's never gonna let go where you put the epoxy in. The epoxy is gonna hold the two pieces very strong together. Same thing as people have granites in their kitchens. And like from things like these, you can actually do like custom sinks and stuff, and they're gonna look nice with those mitered epoxy edges. So what we have done here is, this is our piece. We've put the epoxy through the whole back side of it, and we glue the two pieces together. We got our epoxy mitered, and we got our 90 degrees. And this is the custom window seal that we're gonna be installing. All right, let me get to the place where I put the other pieces in, and let me store this one there as well. And I'm gonna take you guys there and show you how those 3 pieces look. All right, so I put those pieces on the top shelf where nobody's gonna touch them. And let me show you how this, oh my God, it's 2:26 in the morning. Yeah, I gotta get a couple hours of sleep and then get them adapted tomorrow. So yeah, take a look at this. Back piece that we used miter wooden glue for. We attach it to the face of the window sill. They're reversed, they're upside down. So this is gonna be the bottom piece. We're gonna polish off this edge, polish off this edge, and polish off this edge, and it's gonna be a custom piece. Nice flat edges, and these are the 1, 2, 3 pieces that we created. Stay tuned for the video where I'm gonna have the video of installation of it. If you like the content, please subscribe, share with your friends. Thank you very much for watching. You guys have a wonderful night. I'm gonna cut a couple more pieces of granite off for baseboards, and I might have a small video maybe tomorrow, maybe after tomorrow, but we'll see. I only have like 3 pieces of custom baseboards that we're gonna have. It's gonna be 3-inch granite baseboards on the bottom, because all the floor in the bathroom that we've done there has this beautiful marble tile. So we're creating these beautiful marble baseboards for all around the perimeter of half of the bathroom that we are doing currently right now. So yeah, I'm gonna have to make a couple more, maybe 2 or 3 more cuts of those pieces. I'm gonna put them in my car. I'm gonna polish off the edges tomorrow. I'm gonna start the life, and I'm gonna install them, and you guys can take a look if that would be interesting for you guys. Thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful night. Like I said, follow Digital Remodeling on Instagram. Follow us on Facebook. We'll be glad to see you there. Ask questions. Thank you guys. Cheers.